Hello and welcome to the channel. This is Lunar Goddess Tarot. I'll be your intuitive guide and your reader today. So yesterday we looked into the energies of what would your person say if they could. And for many of you, you are in some form of separation. I tend to channel for those who are in some form of separation. And so you're wondering, what is your person thinking? What are they feeling? What are they moving through? And what's keeping them from you or your connection. So I wanted to do something different yesterday, and I had a really good response, I think. So I'll probably be doing more videos like that in the future. But today I want to focus on the full moon in Capricorn that's coming up tomorrow. And so it seems like we've been hit with one thing after another, astrologically speaking. We have Mercury that just went direct yesterday, I believe it was. Yes, Mercury went direct yesterday, and then we just moved through the summer solstice on the 20th, and now on the 24th of June, we have this full moon in Capricorn. And so this is really the energy of working hard, working towards a goal, long-term thinking, long-term planning, long-term picture, and not letting anything distract you from that which you desire, from your goals, from your dreams. And so I feel like this is going to be a very earthy vibe, and it's also going to mean a lot of work in the physical world. I'm also feeling with this full moon in Capricorn that a lot of us are experiencing physical symptoms at this time, heightened physical sensations, heightened physical ascension symptoms. A lot of this right now is sort of centering on or around the jaw, the throat, the neck, and as well as the lower back. Okay, so that's kind of like a full body experience that we're having that may be very unpleasant at this time. Rest, drink water, drink fresh juices, eat plant-based if possible, lighten the load, so to speak, eat lots of greens, and do not push or force yourself to do anything at this time, because it isn't going to behoove you. It could in fact really it could be to the detriment, okay, of your energy field, of your energy, of your physical vitality at this time if you were to push yourself too much. So I really encourage you to rest when you're being called to rest and move when you're being called to move. And anything else? Oh yes, if you'd like a personal reading, you may reach out to me at the email listed below, as well as if you'd like to check out our Patreon, you can check out that link below. And for those of you who did purchase the mini readings from me, the summer solstice mini readings, I will have those to you today. Thank you so much for participating in that. And I plan on doing a lot more mini readings in the near future. I do have an Instagram. I'm not that active on there yet, but I will be posting my mini readings on there, as well as probably not daily readings at this point, but as well as written readings over there that'll be in addition to these readings. So if you want to check that out, the link to my Instagram is also below each video. So let's get started, guys, and welcome in. Welcome in. We are going to start with the Light Seers deck. So I'm going to move the other decks out of the way temporarily. I was guided to bring in some pretty charged decks today. Some of my most charged decks, actually. The Sacred Rebels deck, the Light Seers deck, the Syrian Starseed, and the Hero's Journey. These are some very potent and powerful decks that I've been drawn to the last few days. So I'd like to call in my light team, my guides, my star team, my ancestors, and my highest self, as well as the archangels. Archangel Michael, of course, residing over each of my readings to provide a veil of protection for all of us, for myself and everyone watching. Thank you, Archangel Michael. Archangel Raphael, bringing in the love to our connections as the heart chakras are opening for us all. Can be a painful process. Some of you are experiencing Kundalini movement and rising as well, so that can be quite painful and quite uncomfortable as well. My energy right now is centered in the jaw, so it's challenging to do my job. It's challenging to talk right now, but I'm pushing through it because these are messages that need to be relayed. Okay. Thank you for all of your support. So interesting. Overall energies here. There's that Five of Cups again. So there is definitely some heart chakra activation. And for some of you, it's the opposite. It's going to be the heart chakra that wants to shut down at this time. A lot of you are feeling weary. Your divine masculines are feeling very weary of this journey. They've gone through a very intense awakening and ascension process over the past several months here, really since January. And this is, they're still moving through some grief collectively. I think it's a lot of what I've been picking up on collectively, which has been very, very challenging to take on, has been this collective grief, just crying at the drop of a hat, thinking of all the pain in the world and crying and mourning, just sort of the woes of humanity, and crying for the animals, crying for our ancestors, crying for children, crying for the abandoned, the rejected, and all of this. It's been very intense. So there's a lot of generational trauma that we are still healing and moving through, as I feel like we'll be moving through the remainder of this year. And we're also working on ascending. And as we ascend, we are able to hold more light. But that means we have to push out or push through rather the work that needs to be done to be able to hold that light and expand the light body. So a lot of us are feeling these pains of these traumas from the past. And in fact, there's a theme right now emerging from, let's say, 2016 to 2020, that's emerging right now. So those themes for you, and many of you went through an intense activation and awakening process. A lot of you left abusive relationships during that time frame, or abusive job environments. So you were waking up at that time. You met your counterpart during those years. And if you didn't, this could still apply to you. I'm just throwing out some possibilities here. This is a collective reading. So as always, please only take what resonates and please leave what doesn't. Don't try to apply something or make it work if it doesn't apply to your situation currently. So a lot of us moved through some really heavy transitions in those years, 2016 to 2020. And maybe the most transitional period or transformational period of our entire lives, in fact. So I want to just make that very vividly clear that this is heavy what we're moving through, and you're not alone. It's so important that we hear these words. You're not alone. You are held, you are loved, you are protected. And if you ever feel like you're not protected, call on Archangel Michael, call on Mary Magdalene, call on your light team, call on your ancestors for support. Practice the Ho'oponopono prayer to bring in forgiveness, into your heart. But the heart chakra is definitely in some significant pain right now, as we're moving through so many timelines of grief in our own experiences as a one soul, and also the experiences of the world. So I really feel like we're healing the world's soul. And that's what these astrological events are really bringing to light, or shining a light on, is this process of cleansing and clearing the world's karma, Earth's karma. Okay, so it's yes, it is a lot that we've chosen to take on. So there's definitely a brokenheartedness that's coming up here with this full moon. So it's a challenging energy, and I just want everyone to be very, very gentle with themselves at this time. Let's see, masculine energy, Queen of Swords. So the masculines could be masking how they feel at this time. There could be a lot of sort of inner dialogue, because the swords talks about the mind and the mental aspect of the journey, of the hero's journey. So this is a very collected, cool, calm, and collected exterior. But inside, there's so much going on inside that mind of hers, but she's not letting on. She's not letting anybody outside of herself know what's going on. So the masculines, the feminines still feel like they're in the dark, and the masculines they're just being guided to continue to sort of keep the feminine in the dark at this time, because they're moving through their process. And we have to understand that the masculines, just like we have in the past, acted from a place of trauma. They were acting from their traumas rather than acting from their heart space, right? Acting from trauma, acting from ego. And that's why they push the feminine away. And also the masculines are still working through this idea or belief, this false belief system that I'm not good enough for him or her. So yeah, the masculines may be appearing somewhat stoic. And I can see some of the feminines wanting to roll their eyes because you're like, really, still, or again. But just understand that in this logical place that they're at, this rational place, they are seeking the truth, okay? They're seeking the truth in their lives, and this is taking a lot out of them. It's taking a lot out of the masculine energy. Feminine energy, the world. Feminines, you have reached with this full moon. There's a culmination here. You've reached the end of a cycle, the end of a period, the end of a season in your life. And although there's joy present here, there's joy, and you're working with divine timing. Okay, you're working with Archangel Metatron, the sacred geometry here, clearing karma. I'm also hearing and seeing Saint Germain and Lady Portia, who's his twin flame. So those two in particular assist us in cleansing and clearing karma. Harma, I just wanted to say harma. Well, it's like, yeah, harmful karma. Harma, I just made up a word. Cleansing harma, cleansing karma, cleansing our vessels and bringing more light. Again, holding space, holding more light. And if you can hold space for yourself right now, feminine, that's going to be very beneficial for your overall vessel, your overall energy. You have come full circle. You are going to be feeling, perhaps after this event, after this full moon, an activation, or rather a balancing of the chakra system, and a feeling of freedom and joy, like the freedom that's found in experiencing joy, the joy that's found in experiencing freedom. Happiness is fleeting. You cannot hold the container of happiness. You can't hold on to it. The more you try to hold on to it, the more it escapes. But joy is created internally. Joy is an internal process. Okay, happiness is an inside job, but it's really what we want to focus on is joy, not happiness. Happiness leaves. Happiness can't stay unless we have a container in a space that's sacred and safe. So we're working on being that sacred space and container for ourselves to hold that joy, to hold this love, this unconditional love between the counterparts. Oops, forgot the cards weren't in there. The cards are over here. So continuing just to move through these energies, let's take a look. Let us take a look. I wanted to see what was coming up, on the other side of this full moon, because I always like to peek into the future. Fortune teller that I am. And so we have the Two of Pentacles here, which shows us this sacred divine feminine, divine masculine energy. So we see this image here. And it's interesting that this person is holding two different crystals. It would be different if he was holding the same crystal, but he's holding two different crystals. And we have this energy of the sun and the moon, the shadow and the light, okay, the feminine, the masculine, which we each hold inside of us. And there is a sense of wonderment and also surrender here. Two of Pentacles talks about making a choice in our 3D world and sort of weighing the pros and cons. And so I think what's happening is there's a need to balance, first of all, a need to balance aspects of our lives. This card is associated with, oh gosh. So some of the minor arcanas are associated with the major arcanas, and so this particular card is associated with the Temperance card, or in some other decks it's called just the Balance card. So we're balancing aspects of ourselves here, aspects of our journey. But for those of you who, let's say, were feminine dominant and had a weaker masculine energy or suppressed masculine energy, or vice versa, you're going to be working on that energy that's perceived to be weaker or perceived to be something that you've suppressed. You're going to be working on, or it's that you're working on the energy that you've overactivated, which for me would be the masculine energy. And for a lot of feminines actually is the masculine energy, but not for all. And so as you activate, as you balance those energies within yourself, you're going to feel a lot calmer. And you're going to feel like there's more harmony within your vessel. So what does harmony look like? What does harmony feel like? Because a lot of us have been in this perpetual fight or flight for so long that you may not even know what that looks like. So it's like we have to get decisive on what is it that we're seeking? What is it that we're contemplating, that we're thinking about at this time? Interesting. So as we have the yin and the yang here, I just realized that this is more of like a womb energy here. Some sort of a crystal that is womb-like, but there's amethyst inside. So this is the feminine energy here. And as we have the feminine energy here, and it's interesting because he's holding the feminine energy in his left hand, which is the masculine side. So there's a balancing happening. He's holding this more masculine energy here, this clear quartz crystal, in his right hand, which typically is the feminine energy. So he's balancing those aspects, the yin and the yang, the masculine and the feminine, the activator, the creator, the catalyzer, and the dreamer, the healer, the holder. So these different aspects of the feminine qualities, the feminine nature, and the masculine qualities. What I noticed here, even though this is Pentacles energy, is I noticed that behind him is the ocean. So there is a watery element here. His emotions are involved in this decision-making process, or this balancing process. And I think you're being asked, feminine or masculine watching, I feel like you're being asked, does it have to be one or the other? Why can't I have the best of both? Why can't I take the best of the masculine energy, the best of the feminine energy, and create that aspect of myself and bring that, give birth to that and bring that into the world? Why does it have to be one or the other? Why does it have to be a choice? Why can't it be some of each? Why not, really, right? We only limit ourselves. So how are you balancing the feminine and the masculine within yourself is really the question here. And what do we have here for the masculine energy? We have the shadow. We have the shadow. So we have the devil appearing. Devil appeared yesterday in the masculine's reading, okay? This can sometimes, as I spoke about yesterday, indicate vices or addictions or distractions from our path or our journey, unhealthy choices, or just feeling stuck in darkness, feeling stuck in negativity. Again, dealing with the shadow aspects of yourself. So in the spider web here that this man and woman are, it doesn't even look like they're caught in it. It looks like they're actually standing behind it. And then we have the Sphinx here, the Egyptian Sphinx. It's like this old story of that they're playing out. The old relationship story, perhaps of, a man cheats, a man isn't faithful, a man hurts, and the woman being sort of codependent and unable to break free. I don't know why that's coming up, but perhaps that's a story or a timeline that we're healing here as a collective, is this idea that men are bad and that women are helpless. That's coming up really strongly. So how has that played out, if at all? Again, don't make it apply if it doesn't in your own life. The Sphinx is this keeper of secrets, but holder of wisdom. Okay, it's the doorway or the path to wisdom. So the shadow aspect of ourselves holds the key to so much wisdom and to a lot of the answers that we seek outside of ourselves. So if we can go deeper, and not fear the shadow. There's so much that we fear in doing shadow work. What if I'm found out? What if people realize that I'm a fraud? What if people realize that I'm not who I say I am? What if my counterpart doesn't accept me the way that I am? What if I can't accept myself? What about my flaws? People are going to see that I'm flawed, that I'm not perfect, that I'm not whole. People are going to see that I have traumas or wounds still that I have to work through, and then I won't be enough, or I'll be too much. I mean, these are all things that I've heard from clients over the years, every single one. I think the main wound that many of us carry is I'm going to be abandoned or I'm unlovable. And so what internalized belief system do you hold that's a shadow aspect that you do not share with others? That could be the very thing that actually creates more connection in your life. Divine masculine. Masculines are learning that it's not, I've been talking about this for a week or so now, it's not weak to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is your greatest strength. So you put yourself out there, masculine. You may have not always gotten back what you needed or wanted or desired, but you put yourself out there, and that's more than a lot of people can say. Doesn't matter how anyone else reacts. It matters that you were strong enough and brave enough, courageous enough, and open enough to open yourself up. Doesn't matter how people respond. It matters the gifts that you gained from that, the lessons that you learned from doing that. So I also feel like the Sphinx is one of the things that the Sphinx is really sharing with us or teaching us is that we don't have to judge. We don't have to judge a book by its cover. We don't have to judge something is good, something is bad. Oh, this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong, this is black, this is white. There are so many variations or shades of life, of masculine, of feminine, of quote unquote good, of quote unquote evil. This is again all about balance. You see balance here. We have balance in the Two of Crystals. We have balance here in the shadow. We have to balance out the shadow with the light. I also wonder in this, like, we know that these two people are in a relationship of some sort. We know that they're attracted to each other. But are they attracted to the shadow aspects? Is this healthy or unhealthy? What are they playing out? What is the dynamic between them? It's like, again, they're not caught in the web. It's like they're standing behind it. They could free themselves at any moment, but for some reason or another, they're choosing not to. So why is that? Why do they choose? Why are they choosing to stay when they could just free themselves? Perhaps they like the darkness. Perhaps they enjoy the process of learning. Perhaps their soul signed up for this dance. Perhaps there's still lessons to be learned. So masculines, where is it that you're potentially allowing the vices or addictions or the grip of the mind, the grip of the ego to continue to keep you where you are rather than launching forward into that new beginning? Because that new beginning is there, masculines, you just have to grab it. Somebody in the video yesterday, the live video, they asked Sarah, can you give us, I think, was it a time frame, or does this mean the masculines are going to reach out soon? So there's a lot that we are not meant to know at this time. I cannot give timelines. I do not do twin flame checks. Soulmate checks are easier because we have a lot of soulmates, whereas we have one twin flame, one soul, right? But I just don't offer those because it's your own soul when it comes to a twin flame. And so who's the best judge of who your twin flame is except for you, your soul, right? Your soul knows the story. Your soul knows the history, his story, right? History. And so I feel like there's just certain things we're not meant to know as readers. And one of the things I'm not meant to know right now is timing. One of the things I'm not meant to know right now is when or how this is going to play out. I'm just giving you this. What I give you are themes that you can work with on your journey. That's how I provide clarity. So let's pull one more card here. Okay, so we have the Three of Swords. So this is speaking to the heart pain, the heartache that the Five of Cups has already shown us. And again, this is the element of air. And, you know, I think a lot of us are feeling like this electricity through the heart. Okay, I think a lot of us are feeling this pain. And yet, as always, as the tarot shows us, where there's darkness, there's also light. It's interesting, you even see, it looks like a lamp. It looks like literally a lamp has been turned on. So there's something about this experience, this heartache that we're currently moving through, that's going to shine a light on the darkness. That's really going to provide answers because that lightning is hitting that lamp. There's a lot of illusions at play here, right? A lot of you have potentially maybe even accused your counterpart of being unfaithful or of not loving you or of not of using you in some way. And I feel like, yeah, this is part of the shadow energy. So the masculines are working through their shadows where they appeared to the feminine like they used her, where they appeared to the feminine that they were untrustworthy. The masculines are having to work through this shadow side now. Where is it in my life? This is what the masculine is asking themselves. Where is it in my life that I may have cheated or lied or appeared that way to others, okay, or created that storyline, that timeline for myself where women or men didn't trust me because they don't want to be that way anymore. I'm not saying they were. I'm saying if they were perceived that way for whatever reason, it's like their ego wanted them to be perceived as a player. And I know that sounds silly because these are grown men we're talking about, but they wanted to be perceived like they were sought after, like people wanted them. And the feminine was having none of that. The feminine was like, okay, then, well, I mean, I'm not going to fuck with that because I won't be somebody's choice. I won't be somebody's possibility. I will be their choice. I will be the one that they choose. And the feminine did not want to compete. So the masculine's ego may have gotten the better of him or her in the beginning or, leading up to the separation. And through the separation, the masculines had no one to turn to. So that one soul that you are in the flesh to them, their counterpart, they couldn't talk to you about this. They couldn't really talk to anyone about this because you're the one that they hurt. And you hurt them as well, by the way, because a lot of the feminines walked away because of this behavior and these actions. And it really made the feminine feel, it really brought up rejection and abandonment wounds, or not enoughness wounds for the feminine, which is what we've been working through collectively. So when we have this dark night of the soul and we go through this deep, intense heartbreak and trauma of the heart, there's always beauty on the other side of this. There's always a higher purpose to the difficult experiences that we move through as humans. We achieve wisdom through and grace through the process of pain. So when we understand, this is the shadow work here, these energies go hand in hand. When we understand that where there is darkness, there also has to be light. There has to be light. And that's where we begin to transmute. That's when we can hold space for ourselves, for our counterpart, for this whole entire journey, and transmute all of the pain, all of the heartbreak, all the suffering, all the anger, all these heavy emotions, angst, sorrow, and we transmute them into this higher learning experience. So we have to rise above the pain. Instead of focusing on the pain and the loss, look towards the light. What is this showing me? What is this shining a light on within myself? That's where we can move forward into acceptance. And that's when we have actual forward movement that's going to happen within our connections as well. So interesting. So I was guided to look on the bottom of the deck, and we have the Six of Pentacles. Another card of balance. Another card that I feel like is also speaking about judgment, justice. Not so much judgment, but I always think judgment and justice are intertwined, somewhat interchangeable in a sense. But justice, so that Libra energy of fairness and equality. The palms are open to receive here. Receiving that due divine justice. So that is coming in, but there's some hard work that needs to be done first, and we're moving through that. I'm not going to sugarcoat that because that's not what I'm here to do. This is not rainbows and crystals and butterflies. This is shadows and darkness, and mixed in with the light, mixed in with the lessons, mixed in with the karma, mixed in with the unconditional love that we feel for our counterparts on this incredible, intense journey. What's interesting is it's like she's got, on the one side here, she's got the pentacles, which indicate her 3D or material wealth. On the other side of this, she has the roses, which to me, of course, talks about the love. So she's like, now we have to figure out how to balance out this immense, incredible, intense attraction and love that we feel for our counterpart with our 3D world. And that's exactly what counterparts are doing right now, is we're trying to figure out, how do I create balance? Because when we're imbalanced in these connections, it feels like we can't be without our twin. We feel like we're going to die without them. We feel like we can never be happy with anybody else, and it becomes very consuming. So in order to not be consumed, we are learning how to create balance and learning that there are other aspects of our lives that are just as important, that are very important. How we give back to the community, how we give back to others, how we are of service, creating our 3D material wealth, that is important, because that can bring us not necessarily joy, but it brings us experiences, and those experiences can bring us joy and lasting memories, okay? Being able to help and assist others. The more abundance we create, the more we can help others. That's beautiful, and that's something to look forward to. So we're learning to sort of balance out the emotions of this journey. any emotions we feel for our counterpart. So, where are the counterparts at on their individual hero's journeys? Masculines, they're being asked to flip their perspective upside down, question their beliefs. That's exactly what they're moving through, and some of them have already moved through this process, in fact, and they're on the tail end of this. Others are just diving in. And look, they're questioning. It's like the mirror was held up to them by the feminine, and likely by others in their lives as well. Their karmic partners who played a very important role in their process and ascension, and also in leading them back to you. Believe it or not, divine feminine. Same for a divine masculine watching. Okay, if your divine feminine had or has or will have karmic partners, it's going to lead them inevitably back to you, back to themselves, and back to you. Everything has to be questioned at this time. It's like they're leaving no stone unturned as they question everything that they've been taught to believe over the course of lifetimes. Why did I believe everything that was told to me? So they're working through some shame in regarding that, like the shame of why did I just blindly accept everything that was handed to me? So they have to work through that, much as the feminine did. They're learning that they get to choose their beliefs now. They get to choose, and they can choose differently. They're learning too, as their worlds have gotten literally, figuratively and literally flipped upside down with their ascension process, and through the last year and a half, what's happened collectively. If you're not questioning your beliefs, or if you're not questioning the news or what you've been told, or the propaganda, or the education system, if you're not questioning these things, Big Pharma, if you haven't questioned these things, and are you in a box? Because everyone, whether you decide to believe it or not, you go back to believing it, or you go and you change your beliefs, and all of a sudden you're on the other side of the belief system, or whatever has happened, or you're somewhere in the middle. Whatever has happened, you've questioned your life. You've questioned the facts, okay? The quote unquote facts. You've questioned these things because you know now that not everything you read is true, not everything you hear is true, not everything you see is true. And so many of you are waking up to your own power and your own gifts to be able to discern on a much, much deeper level than ever before, without the fear that used to come with that. So that's what the masculines are moving through in the earlier stages of that. But they're actually moving through really rapidly, feminine. So they're I don't want to use the term catching up, because again, they're never behind us, but they are literally right alongside you on this journey now. They've moved through it in a much quicker pace than the feminines. That's just how their journey goes. And so the masculines, for instance, like if one of their false beliefs was that they're unlovable, they're transmuting that through the shadow work, transforming that heartbreak that came from those experiences, literally clearing decades and lifetimes of karma. Literally just like this is what they're being shown as, like cleaning the windows, clearing the slate, and flipping all of that upside down. So instead of saying, oh, it was my fault, I was unlovable, instead it's, yes, it was my responsibility. And they're taking responsibility for how they've hurt others, or why their life has turned out this way. But they're no longer playing victim, where they were in victim mode for a while there last year. They're no longer playing victim. Now they're stepping out of victimhood, and now they're empowering themselves. And they're realizing that I am so loved and I am so worthy. So instead of saying I'm worthless, I am worthy of everything that I desire. So the masculines are using affirmations. Again, they're working with healers. They're healing their body. They're healing their mind. They're healing from trauma. They're healing from sexual abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse that many of the masculines endured. So they're really stepping away from that black and white thinking of it has to be this way, or if it's not this way, then it just, it doesn't work for me. Because a lot of feminines experience that rigidity with the masculines where it was like, well, if we can't be together right now, then we can't be together ever. And the feminine's like, wait, what? What are you talking about? I mean, we have a lifetime to be together. What do you mean? Like, it's not that black and white. And just because we broke up or just because we stopped talking doesn't mean that I just don't want to be with you or that we're done forever. So the masculine sort of had this idea like, oh, when it's over, it's over. So a lot of feminines experience that as a trigger to help the feminine shift through any codependency. But now the masculines are starting to see clearly. So guys, I mean, I hesitate to say this because I don't want anyone attaching to this, but expect forward movement, whether that's physical communication or 5D communication, or you learn or hear of something shifting or changing in their lives. Expect shifting and changing. Expect there to be news. There's going to be an arrival of something new. Something new within your connection. It is on its way. We've seen too many cards, 8 of Wands and the Chariot and all of these cards indicating that there is movement ahead. Even if you can't see it yet with your own 2 eyes, you have to look deeper within. You have to look deeper past the 2 eyes. So feminines, you're being asked as the masculine flips their entire perspective and world and belief system upside down and inside out and rearranges it, okay, and rewrites their story. You're being asked to say yes to your higher calling. This is joy. This is that joy principle I've been talking about and preaching about. Be a human exclamation mark. I fucking love that. Be a human exclamation mark. Be the joy that you seek. Be the light that you seek. Be the sun that you seek. And I love how her curves, her feminine curves are displayed here. So it's provocative in a sensual way, not necessarily a sexual way, in a sensual way. So feminines getting back to being the empress that you are. And yes, sensual and provocative in nature and, instead of needing to give and needing to take care of everyone else, allowing yourself to be taken care of, inviting in those people who want to nurture you and who want to take care of you. It's important that you continue healing, feminine. It's important that we are works in progress. It's important that you honor your body and honor your vessel as we continue to work through body image issues. It's important that you rest when you need to. It's important that you honor the journey and how far you've come and where you're going. Because where you're going is a completely different place than from where you came from. This is an adventure chapter for you, feminine. Say yes to the things that bring you the most joy. Unequivocal joy. Open your heart. Open your arms to receive. In the physical, open your heart to receive what you can't see, but you can feel the love, the experiences. Some of you, I've been saying this for a while, some of you are going to really, this card talks about getting rid of your belongings, packing lightly. And I've said that some of you are going to be moving houses, moving to a tiny home, going on an adventure like selling your house, or if you rent, just, letting the lease, just not renewing the lease and then going on a mini camper adventure, or I don't know, but you're going to be exploring. There's an exploration here, there's an adventure. And for some of you, this is going to be solo. For others, it's going to be with friends. For a lot of you, it's going to be with other divine feminines. When the world opens up, which it will, for travel again, free travel, you're going to, feminine, want to explore those lands. You're going to be called to distant lands and faraway places. And no longer will you be in the space of, oh, I wish my divine masculine was here. You're going to be merging with him on such a level that whether he's there physically or not, you're going to feel his presence constantly. And it's going to draw and attract him to you anyway, because you're living in your joy. You're that living exclamation mark that's going to draw and magnetize everything that you desire to you for your highest good and for the highest good of all involved. So even if he's not there physically, you're going to be perfectly content. You won't be pining or missing him anymore, especially as 2022 comes in. Release the past, release it with love, release it without clinging, do so with gratitude, and allow that release to be pleasurable. Can we allow releases and losses in some way to be pleasurable, to still bring us joy? Because if we lost something and we mourn and we cry for it, it means there was love there. It means it meant so much to us that it hurts so badly that it's gone, because we had so much love. There was so much love in that experience. So can we honor the love and the joy as much as we honor, if not more than we honor, the sadness and the grief? We are moving beyond the grief. You can see the storyline of how we started with the 5 of Cups, and now look, we're ending with questioning your beliefs. We're moving through the shadows. We're moving through the darkness. We're moving through the dark night of the soul. Choices, balancing, justice, karmic retribution, and then we say yes to joy. Can you see how this is a process that we're moving through? It's not like snap your fingers and there's union. In fact, the more you want union and feel like you need union, the further you push it away from you. You don't need to want union. You are union. You're creating it. I love you guys so much. There's a storm brewing in, so I'm going to stop. I'm going to take that as my direction to stop there and to appreciate the storm and spend some time out here outside, just listening to the storm. Take great care, you guys. And I may be doing some mini readings for the full moon tomorrow. So if I offer those again, you're going to want to subscribe to my Instagram so that you can track that there. And also just stay tuned. Check the community tab where I make announcements there that you maybe will or will not hear on the videos. And I look forward to working with you. If you decide to work with me in a private reading, I look forward to just hanging with you on these lives, and just thank you for your unconditional support and love of me as you allow me to move through my process on this journey. Thank you so much, guys. Take great care.